Okay, now let's get into pulled sugar and cooking that. This is tartaric acid. Where does that come from? Do you know? One source at least? No, that's citric acid. Tartaric acid, I'm sure they make it in other ways, but it comes from the insides of wine barrels that have been emptied and crystallizes inside them.
Because of last night.
Once we put acid in there, it's going to invert the sugar. And that's literally, that means it's going to invert the molecule. It's going to go like this. We call this a left-handed sugar. And I even talked to a guy at a candy show. He was into, his business was cosmetics, emollients. They used sugar molecules like this to be able to make things softer. Okay? They could only do that by inverting the sugar. Kind of weird. It goes all over all kinds of industries. But what this does is make this is hard. This is hard to manipulate later. You can stretch it. You can do some things with it. You saw what I could do here. But that's about the limit of it. This, if it's done properly, is limitless until we heat it up too much or manipulate it too much. It starts to crystallize again. But this makes it flexible. Okay? So this is really important to understand inversion. And that's done by tartaric acid. It could be done with lemon juice, maybe even citric acid. I've never tried it with citric acid, but I don't know if it's the same kind of thing. So now we're going to go into the pulled sugar, and we're going to make an entirely different product altogether. And this, I'm going to cook at 285. I'm not putting any color in this, so it's going to be white, clear like this. At 285 degrees, I'm going to put in 8 drops of tartaric acid in there to invert the sugar. Any earlier inverts it too much, and the whole sugar is going to be gone. Too later, if I put it in too late, then it's not going to invert it enough, and it's going to be stiffer sugar, harder to work with. So we're going to shoot for the 8 drops because I think that's a good starting point for you all. Just trying to the manipulability of the sugar. Once you get a feel for what's going on, you can adjust the recipe however you want. You can use another recipe altogether, but this one works pretty well, and I've been pretty happy with it. And I need to write a paper on it so we can patent it. That's the problem with I mean, a lot of the products that you work with and tools and things like that were all developed by chefs for a large part because they had a problem. I can't do this. How do I make it better? How can I do it? Let me talk to the design engineer. I can't do it, but here's what I want. And so essentially there's a lot of collaboration between chefs and design people to be able to make things. Okay, again, what? Water first. Pour slowly, stir slowly. Don't stir after you bring it to a boil. I can't overemphasize this. This is what makes it. Makes a big difference. It saves you time, and you know what your time constraints are, even in this situation here at school, is that you don't have time to be doing this 3 times. Making caramel multiple times and burning it and walking away frustrated. If anything you take out of this today is how you boil sugar. That's all I ask. That'll be good. Okay, back up to, this time I'm going to use this guy, and I'm going to stir slowly, but I'm not going to hit the edge, okay? And it's a fine line. But what I like about this, and I took a regular balloon whip and I squashed it. They don't come this way. So there's another thing. How do I get it so I don't have it sloshed? Then the darn thing's going. So again, high power, stirring slowly so you can see the water go around the edge of the pot, and it keeps it from getting any crystals in there. You can see the sugar on the outside is a little more dissolved than the stuff in the center. The other thing is that putting the water in first is that now we had a water barrier at the very bottom of the pot. if you put the sugar in first, it takes a while for that water to get down there. By that time, you've got this up at high temperature. You could be changing that crystal structure while it's being dissolved at the very bottom there. So always put the water in first here. Always. I don't usually say always, but it's pretty much always. It's gonna help you out here. You didn't see any crystals in the other pot, and hopefully you're not gonna see any here. But I'm not sloshing, okay? I would go around the classroom and somebody's going, and say it in a very soft voice.
So I'm going to record that, so instead of me saying
it's funny, but this, like I said, if you are in a situation where you're in a small little bake shop, you're probably not going to use this kind of thing we're doing here today of a centerpiece. Maybe once in a while you put it on your display in the front of the bake shop. Why not? Do something like that. The only way people are going to understand that you do that is you have to show them how to do it. But if you really want to get into a lot of work like that, bigger hotels are going to have displays, and they're going to be doing that. Chef Son has been working in several of the hotels in Las Vegas and wherever. Where is he now?
he's in Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
The 2 Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah. The pictures I see from his Instagram are just, it just blows me away. I'm so proud of him. He's doing great. And he got involved with a chocolate competition a number of years ago too. And he still does the sugar. So it's real. This is something. I kind of joked with Chef yesterday. I had to get my C fingers back again. I pulled sugar the other day, and it wasn't much of a transition, but your learning curve right now is tough, and I have a lot of respect for you trying to do this. But if you can take a few things out of here, some decorations that can be added to your desserts, and whether you do centerpieces or not, those little things add value. And when the people that you work for see that, they say, oh, they've got another talent, they've got another skill. They're due for, hopefully, a raise. But you are much more valuable, and they'll go, we had this party, we wouldn't have done this last week, a couple of years ago, because we didn't have anybody doing this kind of thing. Could you do something like this? Well, yeah, I think I could. Good. All right, there you go. They just made some more money on our client because we could put, a centerpiece out there. Or I used to do pulled sugar flowers for wedding cakes. I mean, at the time, nobody else was doing it. It's just, they would look at it and go, oh, that's so cool. I had to stop, when we talk to clients, and say, that must take you a long time to do. Well, I had to change my whole conversation because, yes, at first it does take a while to do that, but I got to this point where you can make them like an assembly line, so you can make a lot quicker. Still charge the same amount of money for each one of them, but then my response back to them when they said, that must take you a long time, I said, it takes a lot of skill. I just left it with that, and they went, oh. So then they knew, okay, I can still spend the $7 or $8 for this flour, and I think it's going to be a pretty good thing. So it changed the whole dynamic of the conversation. But they already came into the idea that this is kind of what I wanted. I wanted something different. Okay, again, once it comes up to the boil, no sloshing, no more stirring. Pull out my other one here that registers that 285 is going to give me a warning.
Don't use the same tool. Don't, because if you noticed, he didn't use the wooden handle or the brown.
You could do either one,
but not the same tool to re-put it in another pot.
Oh no, unless you wash it.
Unless you wash it, exactly.
So we're going to wait for this to. It's still going to have the same curve. Okay? And then once it hits 285, then we're going to invert the sugar. This time, instead of waiting for it to cool off a little bit, I'm going to shock it wipe off the bottom of the pot and pour it as fast as I possibly can onto the thing here, and then we're going to let it cool off a little bit. Again, it's going to cool off from the outside edge. You're going to be very careful. There's a couple of different ways. I have this scraper that I can just hit the edge, or you can use your thumbnail or fingernail. Don't use this part to push the sugar. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm going to force the sugar in here like this. I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to hit it with my thumbnail first because that doesn't burn. It may burn underneath it, but I'm not going to feel that so much as it would be against the skin. So this is cool enough now that these can be taken off. And then I'm going to leave these weights on because this vinyl is rolled up and has some ridges to it. If you're going to use this vinyl, I suggest you roll some of it out and weight it down with some cutting boards and stuff like that, and just get it flat for a little while, or roll it the other way and then do it. I have a piece at home that's a 1/4 inch thick. It doesn't get this kind of thing in it, but this works out very well. Okay, this is going to be clear, so I'm not putting any color in it. If I wanted to color it, I could do it now. Okay? If you're going to be making different colors in your palette, you might want to think of cooking 3 small batches of primary colors. Okay, so you can make green from blue and yellow, yellow, red, and blue will be able to make red, yellow, and green will be able to make yellow, blue, and red. Okay. Then we'll be able to make all the colors if you want to do that. Because then you can use maybe half of one piece, half another piece, or experiment. So you can make multi-colors without having to make 10 batches of colors. We used to do that in the classes that we would make batches of colors, and then people would just gather what they wanted out of it. If you wanted to make another color, you want to make an orange, I would take some yellow, add it with the red, and then I'd have it.
Would it be better if you if you're adding color to the clear, would it be better to, or if you want to do like an ombre or something, or just have like streaks of the color in it with the white, would you just put the powder or the water into it and mix it like and hold it?
So you want to have it as a finished product with streaks in it?
Yeah, just if it was like a
Won't happen.
streaks.
Once you start heating it up, even with cooking it, you're not going to be able to have streaks in it. You're going to see something here when I make a ribbon that may be the closest thing of making streaks into something.
Yeah, just like mixing colors.
Yeah.
Or sugar or the
To create a wave, chef. You want to create a wave with the little white, the
Yeah.
blue.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
white and blue.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can do that. I'll show you that. It's a ribbon technique, essentially. Okay.
You can add different shades together and pull it. Once you get to it, you'll understand. You'll see.
You'll see what I'm talking about. You can. I'm not looking at you. I was looking at my pen. Okay, that can be somewhat what you're thinking about,
Yes,
right?
yeah, pretty much.
Use kind of greenish aqua, not
Yeah, just like a very light
Not-
blue.
not
like,
blue.
Yeah, very light blue.
just good feel. I'm sure he's had that conversation.
No blue.
There's nothing blue out there.
Not a lot of blue. I don't want a whole lot.
You can see how pliable this is, and I've got this fairly high away from here. Some people like to put this way down here. This can actually cook the sugar, so you have to be very careful. And also notice this is a cake pan wrapped several layers of plastic on it. And what it does is it makes a little heat barrier here that doesn't overcook the sugar. If you were to put this directly down on the surface here and put this lamp in here, this would cook and crystallize after a while. This gives it a little bit of a leeway, and silicone mat on top of it is great.
Now you're going to do the sugar game of temperature.
Yippee!
Just got done with the chocolate one, the chocolate game.
Oh, yeah, game. Oh, yeah? What's that one?
Keep it at 90, not over, not under.
Oh.
It's a game. It is a game. Now you're doing sugar game over here. Not too cold, you can't pull it. Not too hot. It doesn't pull.
The other thing I want you to understand too is that you have this marble. What does this marble do to the sugar?
Cools.
Cools it off, okay. What is the temperature of your hand? Well, I hope our internal is like 98 or something, but external is probably on a good day without doing any exercise or anything like that or moving around, it's probably 85, maybe 90 at the max. So essentially, if you've got 200 and 180 degrees sugar over here, hopefully see what it is.
Yeah, right.
170 degrees, and I touch it with 85 degree hands, what is it going to do to that piece of sugar? Mhm. That's hot. Yeah, you are a heat sink too. So every time you touch the sugar, you're drawing heat out of that sugar, okay? So when things get smaller and thinner, and you touch it, it's going to harden up very quickly. You'll see, and I'll try to do some mistakes and things like that in there and show you how it does cool off. And when you touch it, wherever you put it, you have to think about, and you'll see when I'm blowing a piece, I may even touch the marble to cool it off on one part, because I don't want it to blow out on that one side. I want to still keep it molten. Okay, so now we're at 274, we're 10 degrees away, so I'm going to put 8 drops in at 285. This is the alchemy of, okay? We are artists, we're bakers, we're pastry chefs, but we're also alchemists. And this is the magic part. I feel like my dad was a material scientist working for GE. He made diamonds. And we had lots of discussions about crystal growing and sugar and chocolate and okay, 285. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You wouldn't think that would make a huge difference, but that does. Okay, that is the key right there. And that's made with a 1-to-1 ratio. It's nearly weight, volume of tartaric acid crystals and water dissolved, and it'll last a long time. I think I've had that bottle like that for 4 years. I'm having an issue here with my there we go. Sometimes these are kind of weird. One of these shut off when I was using it before.
Oh yeah, I'd be making soup and it just cut off.
That's probably, especially if you're in a rush, that's probably the most
It's the worst.
So I'm going to shock it to stop it from cooking anymore. Let's go like this.
What are you waiting for now?
I'm waiting for 320 now. So 10 degrees difference. You would think that would make, well, it makes a huge difference, but we've also put in an acid in here that is going to make it softer. If we don't cook it at 320 and we leave it at 310, it will be pliable. We need to get as much moisture out of this as possible and get it to a molten crystalline state. And you can see it's really kind of died down a little bit. These last few degrees make a big difference. Okay, shock it on. I think my thermometer might have been a little bit off. I see a little yellow, but that's not going to be a big difference. Okay, we're going to pour this in. Yeah, a little calm. We'll get one to 324. The last reading I said 324, so it'll be fine. Again, watch. This will get the drip inside. While that's cooling off, I'm going to take this and roll it around here. This is hot, so be careful we don't burn ourselves. rotating it so I can get a thicker layer all the way up. And this guy's hot. So that's over 300 degrees. Trying to make something in here. So we can make a little shot glass. This can also be cut off at the top. Since this is pulled sugar, it'll be a little easier, but I would recommend if you're going to do this, is to do it with cash sugar. Okay, now I'll just let it go, and then we'll make a little thick base.
So if you were to do that with cash sugar, would you need to wait for it to cool down like?
Just like you would here. Look. Okay, we're going to test this, okay? I'm just testing it a little bit. Don't push it very far. But what we're going to try and do here is we want to cool this off as evenly as possible. And if you see anything like this, get it away. Okay? Gentle. If you want to use something like this first.
Crystallized. See, that's what's crystallization. Here, I just showed him the pot that has crystals in it. That's what'll happen. Okay, that's
Yeah, because that little part over there boiled.
Yeah.
That was the
See
last
that?
part of the cash sugar.
And it'll just keep spreading, keep crystallizing until it's all.
Okay, now I'm using the inside of my thing because it is a little bit cooler and I can move it. And what I'm going to do here in a minute is I'm going to try and not touch this very much at all with my hands. The tendency is once it gets to a point where it's in one big blob, then you're going to grab it. I'm not going to grab it. We're going to manipulate it. What's really nice is with a silicone mat. And we're going to do a little jogging around the marble here because it's really warm. We want to find a cool place in the marble. So now I need to move rapidly to get this all. We want to keep it without the crystals growing on the edge here. Because the outside is cooling faster than the inside. And this one up. Well, we'll work with both of them. This will satinize out. Like, okay, now you can take the silk hat and just hit it really quickly. Let it flow. And you can start seeing the bubbles forming inside there. It's just a little fold it over, kind of like. So I'm trying to move it in different places where it's cool. Move it around them. Real quick snap, okay, still back. And we wait for it to slow down. You can see the pattern of the silk cut on there. When you just see it go away, then you can turn it. And as this cools off, this is going to change. It's just I want you to listen. Get that in your mind. Press the back. Pretty warm, huh? In a minute, we're going to do the satinizing process, and this can be done several different ways. People have different techniques. This is the Did you hear that? Now I can roll into a cylinder. And this can be done with a couple people. This is a fairly large piece. It's going to be very warm. You're going to use your hands like this, right? Roll up, pull up, roll down. You see, this is like next. Twist, and I'm not. I've seen do things like this. Well, I don't like to work too hard. So now I'm also limiting where it gets pulled from the center of the sugar. And as you can see, it's getting shinier each side. Then, once we get it to a point where it's getting harder and shinier, we're going to start using a ribbon technique to get it into a configuration that is going to be easier to put under the lamp and warm up. They're not going to be very thick pieces. They're fairly thin, 1/4 of an inch maybe, 1/2 inch max. And a ribbon that is probably 3, maybe 4 inches wide, and cutting off little blocks and squares. Yeah, this is a little, here I was telling you about, you hear it? I can't tell you what the width is, other than if it's got sagging, it's too warm. And all I'm doing is pulling one end to the other and pinching here. If it gets too warm, pull it out of it. But you still need to get it thick. This would be a technique for making ribbon. I'm going to show you another one. It's a little more confined, perhaps a little more precise, but if you're making a really large ribbon, this will be this wide. And you can put a couple little dowels or something at the very end of it, and you can stretch it out down the table. And that's what I'm going to do here in a few minutes too, is to take a piece of sugar. And you can see how far we can pull one little piece of sugar out. I'm doing this now so it'll cool off, but now it is in a, let's do this piece right here. I want you to, I'm coming on that side since you're over there, and I want you to stand with your back to the table, and I'm going to walk down the facing that way to the, or face this way. You get the big job of holding the big piece, okay? It's going to be hot. Can you handle that? Got it? If you don't, no, put your hands, no? Okay, let go. Hold on to that. No, you hold on. Okay, yeah, support it now. We're going to get out again. Okay, don't drop it. Stay that way. Now, I want you to wait for it to cool off a little bit. No, I want you to lay it down on the table in here. This is a concerted effort here. You all need to move at the same time. You go faster.
Okay. There you go. What do you mean?
And just lay it down on the table.